Welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Meemaw. Tonight's story is called Timmy Mouse. Mr. and Mrs. Mouse had a cozy home in the meadow. They called it Mouse House. The name was over the door. One day they said to their little son Timmy, "Stay here and take care of your baby sister. We must go out and get more food. There are only 6 crumbs left on the shelf. We will be back long before dark." Timmy played with the baby. He stood on his head and waved his tail to make her laugh. Then he opened and shut his little red umbrella very fast. She liked that. After a while it began to grow dark and Mr. and Mrs. Mouse had not come back. Timmy kept going to the window to look, but there were nowhere in sight. He gave the baby her supper. She ate 1 crumb and so did he, so there were only 4 crumbs left. He put the baby to bed and covered her up with her wee woolly blanket. It grew darker. Still his father and mother did not come. Finally, Timmy went to bed himself. In the morning, the baby woke up and cried. Timmy got up. The sun was shining through the tiny window. There was a butterfly on the windowsill, but his father and mother had not come home. Timmy dressed his baby sister. They each ate another crumb, so there were only 2 crumbs left. Timmy amused the baby. He blew a feather into the air and chased it. He sang mouse songs. When lunchtime came, he and the baby ate the last 2 crumbs. Well, thought Timmy, something must have happened to our mother and father. I shall have to get the food myself now. But I can't do that and take care of baby sister too. She is too little to be left alone. I shall have to find a new home for her. He dressed her in her best clothes. He put her into the cart. She saw the umbrella and squeaked to take it too, so Timmy let her. They went along and they went along until they came to Best Nest. It was the biggest and coziest nest in the whole meadow. It was on top of a bush. Mrs. Bird looked down over the edge of the nest. Timmy looked up. "Will you give my baby sister a home?" asked Timmy. "Will you bring her up, and could I come and see her sometimes? Our mother and father have not come back to Mouse House. We are all alone now." Mrs. Bird had kind, bright eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said, "but I can't take your sister. We have a whole nest full of little birds. Besides that, we live way up here on the top of a bush. Too high for a baby mouse, too high." "All right, thank you," said Timmy politely. He went on. The baby began waving the umbrella around. It caught in the grasses and made a lot of trouble. Timmy really wanted to throw it away, but the baby loved it, so he didn't. He was getting tired. They came to Muddle Puddle. Big green frogs stuck their funny noses out. "Will you take my baby sister and bring her up?" asked Timmy. "We are all alone now." "Sorry," croaked the frogs, "but we live in the water. Too wet for a baby mouse, too wet." "All right, thank you," said Timmy. He gave a sigh and went on. The baby was getting tired too. She began to cry. Timmy took her out of the cart and found her a berry to eat. He wiped her paws off with a 4-leaf clover. Then he put her down for a nap under a daisy. When she woke up, they both felt better. They went on to Mole Hole. Timmy called down the dark hole, "Would you like a nice baby mouse to keep? I am too little to bring her up by myself." "Too bad," called the moles, "but we live down so far. Too deep for a baby mouse, too deep." "All right, thank you." Timmy gave 2 sighs. They went on. Finally, they came to Bump Dump. It was a place where people threw things away. There were old shoes, papers, tin cans, and whatnot. Timmy knew that on the other side of Bump Dump was Sandland. Perhaps he had better go there. He pushed the cart along between an old shoe and a broken teapot. They came to a tin pail upside down. Timmy stopped and listened. Yes, there was something alive under the pail. Perhaps this would be a good home for his baby sister. He knocked. "Whoever you are in this tin house, would you like a little mouse to bring up?" Everything was quiet for a minute. Then 2 excited voices began squeaking. "Timmy, Timmy, is it you?" "Yes, it is us, your mother and father. We are shut up here. We can't get out. We were just enjoying a nice bit of cheese rind when someone threw this pail away. It came down pop, bump, bang, right on top of us. Can you help us?" How happy Timmy was to find his mother and father again. He tried to push the pail over, but he was too little. Timmy looked all around. What could he use? There was an old bean pot, a raggedy rubber. No use at all. Then the baby began crying. She threw the umbrella. It hit Timmy. Why, the very thing, he thought. He poked the tip of the umbrella under the edge of the pail. Mr. Mouse put his foot there, then one of his shoes, then the other, then his rolled up coat. After a while there was a place big enough to crawl through. Mr. and Mrs. Mouse came squeezing out into the sunshine, dragging the cheese rind. Then there was such happiness and squeaking. "Timmy, you are good and brave. You have taken fine care of your baby sister. We were just frantic when we couldn't get home." "I was afraid too," said Timmy. "I was trying to find a new home for the baby because I was too little to bring her up by myself." "How fortunate that you didn't give the baby away," said Mrs. Mouse. "You found us just in time." She pushed the little cart. Timmy's father carried the cheese rind. The baby waved the red umbrella. How glad Timmy was now that he had let her bring it. They were all very happy, so they came back to Mouse House. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story, Timmy Mouse. God bless each of you. Come back soon for another story. And until next time, bye for now.